I found this interesting quote from you about the song Rest in Pieces, where you said, I was betrayed by a friend. I wanted to channel my frustration into the music and create what I call a fuck you song for revenge.
Have I
And
said that?
yes.
Oh, that's well said.
And, while I see that as like a fabulous source of passion and genuine emotion to put into a song, what I'm wondering is how do you then step back and then craft it into something that's a good tune and not just a lashing out exercise?
Well, that song was like it happened at the very end of the production thing. Like everything else was basically finished and almost mixed and everything. So then this thing happened with the best friend of mine, and I was so sad and so pissed off and angry and like everything about that. So I woke up one night thinking of this thing, and this idea of that song came to my mind, and I started writing 3 a.m. in the morning, and that song just happened like right there. And then I was like, okay, it's a sign, I have to get this on the album. I started working it on my own because I wasn't sure if it's a good idea, you know, if the other guys might think I just got to do this, and I wanted to make it good before I present it. And so I recorded my vocals myself, and like
Hmm.
I really did the best I could with my computer to make the production sound like something. I'm not very good at that yet, but I really enjoyed it, I gotta say, because I really like to put more input to that, because like if I have the vision, it takes a lot of energy for me to try to explain what I mean about some certain sound or something. Like if I could just do it myself, like come on. Even though
Right.
we've worked with crazy good producers this time again, so but still it would be useful to know. And so that song was kind of like that. So I'm happy it's on the album, and it's actually was the first song we put out.
Okay. Okay. And in all the videos I've seen, I've only seen you singing. So I'm curious, when you get a song idea, what instrument do you personally reach for to craft the melody?
Hmm, nice question. I actually, I, if possible, I always play guitar. Like I have my backstage guitar with
Hmm.
me, and I spend like 10 hours a day, like with the guitar hanging on my neck. I'm just like constantly writing songs on tour, especially because
Hmm.
it's so inspiring to be there among the fans, and like that energy, like everything happening in the middle of life. And so it's good. I always like to have my guitar, but sometimes I can do it, with just no instruments too. I There's a legendary songwriter, Max Martin,
Hmm.
uh, who once said like he never touches an instrument before he's finished the song in his head.
Oh,
Like that's pretty cool. Like because sometimes I've done that, and it really works, because when you start putting the chords in and sort of like you lock the song, it's like okay, that's how it's gonna be. But
hmm,
you have more options if you just like if you have a good melody or hook or something before you're like it's like teasing yourself like, oh, can I already touch you?
yeah.
Like it's like no.
Right, right. So that's what you shoot to do, is try and get it in your mind the way you want it before you actually put it down on any kind of instrumentation.
Yeah, but because when you write a lot of songs and you're very much making music all the time, and in that kind of zone, it's it's easy to hear the chords. At least for me, like I can sort of like you know arrange it a lot in my head, and like hear harmonies, and like sort of hear how it's going to be like. And but that would be impossible to try to explain to a producer like
Hmm.
well, I have this idea, like could you just
Right.
look inside my
Yeah.
And you know, it's yeah, but I need to practice my skills.
Well, because that makes me wonder, when going through this album and like particularly the song "Love Is a Bitch," where it there's so many points where it starts, it stops, it goes loud, it goes soft. It kind of jumps around in different timing signatures and things like that, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. But at the same time, I'm wondering like how does someone even go about crafting a song like this? And is that the way you heard it in your head, or does it take a lot of time to work out, okay, let's try this, let's try this, because it's there's a lot going on in that tune.
Yeah, well, I gotta say that song was different.
Hmm.
It was like it sounded pretty different. Like it had a whole different drum beat and bass. Like everything was kind of different, and we were like, I don't know about that song. Like it just doesn't fit the album, and it's like so poppy and whatever. Like it just felt very like cheap at one point, and then
Hmm.
I think we slowed it down and we made it like straight and like half time drum beat and like arranged it in a whole different way, new way, to match the rest of the songs. And then Empu, guitarist, she started singing the answers, and that was all like in the studio,
Hmm.
like kind of improvised at the place
Oh
where
wow.
we could play together and like like try it out. So it was like all of a sudden we're like, hey, this is pretty good. Like, and I think her presence in that song, singing those answers and everything, like in general, having her in the band is just like wonderful, because it wasn't always like that. Like 4 years ago we basically broke split up.
Hmm.
The previous guitarist, he left and left us in a bad situation for a couple of weeks only, though. Like Empu joined us like quite soon, and ever since it's been like uphill. Thank God. Like she's really good. She has a good energy and like good karma and charisma, and just good match. She's
Hmm.
from the same neighborhood. Like she used to grow in the same suburb as all the rest of us. She went to the same school just 7 years later. But
Mm.
like, so
Yeah. And then, well, that makes me wonder, since you do so much on guitar, when you're constantly writing stuff, you know how often do you just think, well, okay, I kind of have this where I want, and I know if I give her this rough sketch, she'll really take it to another level.
mm, yeah. Well, it depends. Sometimes I just don't do anything. Like demos can be very simple, like just like strumming and
Hmm. Hmm.
playing, and because that's also a nice way to have them involved, and I want to have them involved, and like I want to hear their ideas. And but if I get a really clear, like let's say there's a riff in the song, and then of course I want that can be sometimes something that comes first, a rhythm or something that I really need to have it in a certain way.
Hmm.
Then I'm pushing it through no matter what. But I like to have them um, with me creating the music, and even in the lyric thing, I'm always thinking of them, and I'm thinking that I'm a good spokesman for all of them, because we have very strong friendship. We are very close to each other all the time. We have very same values.
Hmm.
We have, most of us, very long history together. We've gone like 30 years together, all this, like even more. The bass player, he was my classmate when I was 10 years old.
Oh
From then,
wow.
from that time I've known him. So we've experienced a lot of same things, and like, we're from Finland and everything. So whatever I say, I also kind of want to make sure they can stand behind it, even
Hmm.
it could be from my personal perspective.
Right, but it's you want a united front, no matter what message you're putting across. In other words,
Yeah, well, that'd be the best scenario, because together we go on that stage and do the thing. Like, I'm totally needing these guys to stand
hmm
beside me and do this together. It's just so much more fun. And if there is disappointments or trouble, also that is easier when it's four of us,
hmm
ups and downs.
and then in terms of working with people outside the band, one of the title track on this one caught my ear because you involve Lee Jennings of the Funeral Portrait, who I just interviewed a few months back when they released some new material, and um, I'm wondering, how did that collaboration come about?
Well, that came about the fact that we signed with Better Noise Music some time ago already, and and then we were, looking at options that we would like to come to America to play a few shows, and then Funeral Portrait invited us to be their support, and that was really nice because like right away when I was texting with Lee, not even had met him before, I felt like, oh, he's a good guy. He's my type of guy, and I could
hmm
totally like um you know find good vibes out of him. And then I started checking their music, and it's like, oh, they have a song called "Stay Weird." What? And then we have this weirdo song that I was
hmm
asking him to join. So like, it was like one of those things that was meant to be. And
Yeah,
now they are coming to Europe to support us the whole month in Europe. So it's nice to have a new friend band.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But and yeah, you brought up "Stay Weird," and that's one of the songs we discussed and focused on. And you know, I've read a lot about in looking at other interviews where you've talked about that's kind of been like the core ethos of Rasmus is just in defense of those quote weirdos out there. And and I did talk to Lee about what I thought "Stay Weird" was an important song, especially in today's day and age. And I'm wondering, in this time where it seems like people who are declared quote weird are almost being hunted and persecuted, what what is your advice for embracing your own personal weirdness and being okay with that?
Mm. Well, it's it's hard to be young and you know to it's really, especially I think nowadays world when there's a lot of pressure from social media about you should look a certain way, you should be successful already when you're young, you should know where you're gonna be, what you're gonna do when you grow up, and like and then there's all these examples of these perfect people who have like everything full package like at the age of 20. Like that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I still don't know where I'm going. Like really, I'm still on my way, and that's good because I enjoy that path. That's the whole idea. Like I will never be finished. I'm far from being complete, and and I think that's kind of the message that you want to put out there. Like I never became a police officer. I never became a priest or a teacher. Like I never had like a real job. I'm just the weirdo making my music, but I've brought a lot of joy for millions of people, like over 30 years already, with my weird little songs. And like, we just recently played a charity concert in Ukraine where we could raise almost €1 million for the children's hospital by being there. And like entertaining and giving good vibes to 60,000 people that who are in the middle of the crisis, in the middle of the war. That's pretty freaking heroic.
Yeah, yeah. No, I read about that, and I mean, that was going to be my next question because you talk about genuinely being hunted and persecuted. I read about how while you were there were evacuations because of airstrikes where missiles and drones were raining down on the
Yeah.
territory, and you slept in a bomb shelter, and it seems like such a profound has to be a profound moment in your life, and I'm wondering how that has affected you as a musician going forward.
Yeah, well, that will affect me for a long time, obviously, and I still haven't written that song about it, but I'm quite sure it will come because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, that night in that bomb shelter, looking at my phone that would show the map of Ukraine getting red, you know, getting like region by region getting red, and like you see little symbols of uh, missiles and drones, and like telling you real time
Mm.
information what's
Wow.
happening up there
Mm-hmm.
above the ground. It's like, what is this really happening? And like then thinking like, okay, this is the everyday life for these people for 3 years more.
Yeah.
It's so bad. So
Mm.
I feel so sad, and you know I hope it's over soon. These people are
Mm-hmm.
also getting tired. I talked to so many of them, and they're just like, I don't know what to do. Like I talked to a soldier guy, and he said like he gave me this shoulder patch. Like he said like, I want you to have this. Like I wore
Oh,
this 2 years in the front line, and
wow.
you know Uh, thank you for being here. This means a lot to Ukrainians, that show that the outside world hasn't forgotten us, and you stand beside us. And it was very moving
Mm.
moment there. But
Yeah.
also he said like he was maybe 25, and he said like, I'm getting, I'm tired. I mean, I will serve a little while longer, but then I have to say, like, no, I can't. I hope someone brave comes after me to take my spot. But he was like, he was just so tired because it's so scary and it's so draining to be there. I can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did you do with the patch?
I have it at home. Yeah, it's my little treasure. I was
Mm.
thinking maybe I put it on my shirt or something.
Oh, yeah. No,
But
that'd be cool.
it's nice. Yeah, but we those like moments we met some of these people. Those are actually the strongest image in my mind when I think of that trip. Like not the broken buildings or like, but or the big
Mm-hmm.
crowd or something. It was those couple of little like private moments I talked to somebody. Yeah.
And in this other interview I read where you were talking about that experience, you said that you found there were similarities between the Ukrainians and people from Finland, and that you felt that both are kind of naturally shy and reserved people on the whole.
Hmm.
And what I'm wondering, because your presence right now is very different from your stage persona. And so I'm wondering, how does someone who comes from kind of a shy, reserved culture become a lead in a rock band that's very, in your face with, the music and the energy?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, like I have these two sides of me. Like this guy here talking is this very energetic, goofy, funny, sharp guy. But I also have this other side of me that sometimes takes over, and pulls me down, and I'm going through a lot of shit too. But I think that's something that hasn't always been like I've learned to. I think to be more social.
Hmm.
I think it's just because um, I've kind of put myself out there more and more, and I've learned to relax more, and I think that's also kind of the self-confidence that get when you grow older you don't care about it so much. You're like, whatever, I don't
Yeah.
care what they think. Like, I was more insecure when I was younger, and even like the way I look, and
Hmm.
like all the and people are like, I'm too short and my face is funny and blah blah blah. And now I'm like, oh, if I would be very tall and if I would have a different nose, I would be a different guy. Like, that's
Hmm.
my little persona, and that's who I am. And sort of learn to appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. And another sign of what I would call maturity is, because you had this other quote which I thought was great, where you talked about, the you said the world is a scary place right now and people need stronger and louder music, which I totally get, because you're bombarded with all these things happening, and you just you want someone who knows your frustrations and can vocalize them. But at the same time, this album, Weirdo, has points where you pull back kind of emotionally, especially the last song, I'm Coming for You, where it's a much softer delivery, and to me that's kind of a sign of a musician's maturity, where they figure out, okay, we can go this hard for most of the album, but there's got to be some point where we let off the gas and have a bit of a
Yeah.
breather. And I'm curious, how long did it take for that to develop with you, and how did you find what that balance point is?
Yeah, well, that song is a special song. I wrote it for my son. I have a 17-year-old
Mm,
teenager, and it was kind of a topic, like, it was hard to maybe say to him, like, I felt like I haven't been enough in his life, or maybe I've been a not lousy but not the perfect parent or something like that.
mm-hmm,
And then I wanted to do this confession or whatever, and then I wrote this song, and I really had a lot of time to make it right. Like, everything was just what I wanted to say, and also musically, like, create that world. Like, it deserved to be a softer song, because it's like, that it's that type of song. So I think you have to be true to your songs and let them guide you, like what they want to be, and not try to push it in some format. So I think that also it is a nice ending for the album too. It's a
mm-hmm.
bit like deeper thoughts, and even at the end I wanted to do this organ, like, oh, almost like in a church, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Did you play him the song before you recorded it?
uh, I played him the song. He was the first person to hear it when he was ready. So I wanted, before it comes out, like, we were in the car, and I said, like, yeah, I wrote you this song, like, I wanted to say these things, but here we go. And it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty, you know not so easy moment, kind of like, like when someone
Yeah.
writes you a song, already pretty overwhelming. And then, like, so I said, like, when the song was finished, I said, like, you don't have to say anything, just, just go, bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. you know
Yeah. But you got the feeling he appreciated it?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and we have a good connection, really. he's
Mhm.
he's doing great. And but sometimes, like, you know stuff like that can, like, haunt you, like, there's nothing bad, but it's just like, I just feel like I've been so busy. Like, was it really worth it? Like,
Hmm.
then, but it's just, I think it's a common thing, like, what a lot of parents have, like, they try to make the best thing for their children, and then, the opposite happens, like, they they would just need them to be there or something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah. But it's nice to be singing about like true things, like really that almost make you cry yourself, and it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is good enough. Let's release it.
Right. Right. And then another thing that fascinates me is, um, I mean, I'm an idiot who can barely speak one language, and you're fluent in at least two, I know. And so when I come across, lyrics like from "Break These Chains," I love the line, "Maybe only tombstones last forever," um, and I'm wondering, it's wonderfully poetic, and the fact that you can write that well in what is your second language is amazing. And you do lines like that come to you first in Finnish and then you kind of translate in your mind, or have you gotten so used to English that you know how to make it poetic on its own?
I think I've always been listening to music sang in English, like since I was very young child. So it has always, even though I didn't understand it then, it was just a language of, music or rock for me.
Hmm.
So I think my ear just picked, the rhyming and sort of like, I remember being into like songwriting when I was really young, like, like very young, like 10 or something, and doing some of my own first things, and listening to songs which happened to be Desmond Child songs, but like trying to like understand the song Poison from Alice Cooper, for example. It's a wonderful rock song anthem.
Hmm.
Like, but it's really complicated. There's like tons of modulations, and like it's really all over the place. Really like a clever rock song. So I was always fascinated about that, and I think for lyrics, you know, sometimes good things happen when I'm saying something that is kind of like Finnish, but it's really bad English, and sometimes they get these new sort of meanings, like
Mm.
even like some sayings, like you might say like you catch two flies with one, whatever that saying is,
Okay.
but we would say you you drop two birds with one stone.
Oh no, we say that too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes these kind of things, like little
Right.
nuances, make it funny, and it can also, I've heard from many fans like, "Oh, this is so funny way to say it, but it works. I get it. I get what you're meaning, but no one would say
Hmm.
it like this." And it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So
And
it's
I
like,
think it's okay that you could hear some of that like European thing in there.
yeah.
Like, we're from here anyway, so I can't change that.